Good morning, UTLA. Woohoo! It's so beautiful to see all these red t-shirts in the room. All right, so that's how we do it, right? So my name is Kelly Flores, and I'm a teacher at Augustus Hawkins High School. I just wanted to say good morning to all of you, and thank you for being here. And I also would like to acknowledge our previous speaker, Hilda Gonzalez. What she said just completely resonates with us. Her words were super powerful, and I think that we need to take that to heart when she says that our schools are places that are safe havens for our students. I know that that's true for our school. You know, in South Central, we have a lot of violence in the community, and our students experience that on a daily basis. So we are actually trauma-informed campus, and we also are a sanctuary campus. I want to thank RFK Community School for promoting the sanctuary campus pilot program, right? And our students created a program. Yes, absolutely. Our students, they created our seniors, the senior class, they created an organization called Será. And the student organization, what they did was they took that model from the RFK community schools to create a sanctuary campus on our campus. But we need to take this throughout LA Unified. That is our goal. We really, really need to make sure that all of our campuses are sanctuary campuses. So I was going to tell the story about how there was a shooting, you know, very close to our campus. It was after school, right? And it was maybe an hour after school, and our school went into lockdown. But the students who experienced the violence in the community, they ran back to our campus. Why did they come back to our school? Because that's a safe place, and they know that's a safe place. And that's what I want to start off with. So thank you very much. There's something else that Angelica said, which was that we cannot rely on you know, our federal government. We can't rely on, you know, the Democratic Party as well. We need to do grassroots, right? And so how do we do grassroots? We involve our community at every level that we can. So I'm here representing UTLA this morning, and I have a panel here with me, along with what we're starting in Los Angeles, which is Reclaim Our Schools. This is an effort, it's an actual national effort. It's the Alliance to Reclaim Our Schools at a national level. But here in Los Angeles, we've created Reclaim Our Schools L.A. within the past year. We've invited our community partners along with us. So the founding members are LAANE, which I have next to me, Rudy Gonzalez. Students Deserve, so I have two students with me, which is Cristobal and Taya. Right? Taya. And I also have ACE, which is one of our founding organizations. We've worked with ACE for the past decade at multiple levels, you know, fighting for public education as well. And that's Hilda Rodriguez. So she's a parent leader and also a steward of SEIU. Thank you. So good morning. And I want to go ahead and let our panelists speak, and I'm going to have them introduce themselves. So go ahead.
Sure. Good morning, folks. My name is Rudy Gonzalez. I'm with an organization called LAANE. LAANE stands for Los Angeles Alliance for a New Economy. So just a little bit about our organization. I'm a campaign director focusing on our education team, and we're an anchor organization with Reclaim Our Schools L.A. LAANE is an organization based out of Los Angeles that's been around for about 24, 25 years. And it's been it's basically a policy organization that has fought for economic justice for all for a quarter of a century. Things like the living wage, community benefits agreements. We've been building labor and community partnerships for over 2 decades, fighting for economic and social justice. So we're here today as an anchor organization with a broader coalition called Reclaim Our Schools L.A. And that coalition is a coalition that's broad-based, that pulls together groups that are not just from the education sector, education space, but it includes organizations like CHRLA, NAACP, Southern Christian Leadership Conference, Local 99, CSEA. So it's broad-based. It's not your traditional sort of organizations that you would think about in an education fight, but it's a way to us to anchor and take hold and begin different fronts in this fight for education justice. So we're proud to be here today. It's an honor to be in a room with teachers and educators this morning.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Taya Hubbard. I'm an upcoming senior at Dorsey High School, and I am one of the active members of Students Deserve.
So, hello, my name is Christopher Kamadu. I am a senior at Dorsey High School, and I am also an active member of Students Deserve.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Hilda Rodriguez-Guzman, and I am a member of ACE. But my first question is to you all, are you woke? Are you ready to resist? Are we ready? Good morning. All righty. So as Kelly mentioned, my name is Hilda, and I am with Alliance. Alliance is ACE's Alliance for California for Community Empowerment. I've been involved in our work together with you all, some of you all here, in our coalition, Reclaim Our Schools L.A. ACE is made up of community residents like myself coming together to build our powerful fight for justice for our families and communities. Economic justice, racial injustice, social injustice. Our members live in some of the lowest income neighborhoods in the city, particularly in South LA, where I've lived for over 40 years. I myself have attended manual arts and have raised 3 children in South LA. We believe in a simple idea, that our communities deserve no less than any other community, and we are uniting to fight for it. We know that there's power in numbers, and when we unite, we raise our voices, we can secure justice for our communities that we are well deserved. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. So you have our panelists here, and I'm just going to ask a few questions of our panelists. I just wanted to let you know that part of the mission of the Reclaim Our Schools Los Angeles is to fight for community schools. And we have, a motion that was passed just recently in June. I know Rudy's going to talk a little bit more about that. That was, our school board embraced it, and we're saying that we want our schools to be community schools. So they're safe spaces for our students. They have after-school programs. They have academic freedom. There are worker rights for everyone. That's every level of worker on our campus actually has the right to unionize and organize. And we want the students to have a curriculum that they deserve. They have fully funded programs. So revenue, and I know Angelica mentioned that as well, is really important for us. So we all need to embrace the fight to fully fund our schools. The community schools is an effort for us to fight for public education at a new level. We had the whole series of charter schools, the privatization of our public education, but we want to reclaim that. That's the mission. That's why we call it Reclaim Our Schools. We want to take that back. And the way we're taking it back is by having community schools. And community schools to us means a place that everyone is involved. So the students, their families, it's a community space that's open, that embraces the identity of our children, that has culturally relevant and responsive education. So with that, I'd like to ask our panelists, what is the crisis that you see for your organization and for yourself in education, and why are you involved in educational justice work?
I guess I'll go first. So the crisis we see at LAANE, and it's one of the reasons we've joined this coalition, is basically looking at this public erosion of trust in public institutions that are supposed to support and defend all people and not just some. So with the public schools in particular, and you can see this also with public libraries, the postal service, the public sector, there's a cynicism with our community and a distrust of our public institutions to take care of all of us. That is a problem for us at LAANE, and in particular with labor organizations, labor unions, and community organizations. It is the foundation of our democracy that we have a trust and this faith that the government, that we are a healthy government is when we have a healthy democracy and we're all participating in it. And in addition to that, that all folks, all people must be defended and benefit from that. So when we see things like a billionaire philanthropist write a memo to say that he wants to take over public schools, or at least half of public schools. And they do so by writing a memo and start actualizing that, operationalizing that locally. That's a problem for us. That is not an example of a healthy democracy. That's an example of one or few having an idea with a lot of money and trying to implement it. That is not a functional, healthy democracy for any geographic or any community. Another example of this public erosion you can see is from our last election just in June, where you've seen about $14 million spent on a school board race. And you probably know, but when we say that in other parts of the nation, people are freaking out because you don't spend that much money on a school board race, right? But because LA is so huge, it is the second largest school district in the nation, you see that type of number. That's another example of a small, elite, privileged, rich segment of our community having a more of an influence on the decisions and experiences of our families and communities. And again, that is not a healthy democracy. So we're here with UTLA and Reclaim Our Schools to make sure all people have a voice. That includes parents, teachers, organizers, immigrants, and that means that we all have to get involved and participate, and we have to fight, because those resources are overwhelming. But we've seen, history's told us, that when we work together, when we organize, that overcomes, that trumps power, that trumps consultants, that trumps political ads, and that'll get us to the finish line.
I'm sorry. One of the things that I've actually seen is that we are number 46 in education spending and number 1 in prison funding. So that basically really tells students of color that they don't want to educate us, they want to lock us up. Another thing that I've actually found out is that Trump in Davos is actually proposing a 13% budget cut. And that basically means all the after-school programs and the Upward Bounds, the Trio Talent Search, all that is probably going to go away. And me, myself, as a black woman, I take education really seriously when it comes to this. So taking away all these, taking away all these programs that have actually benefited me in a tremendous way is like really going to affect my life drastically. I'm saying, like, when you take away, how are you going to say that you want us to thrive in this world, you want us to succeed, and you're taking away every aspect that we need to be, like, sorry, like, I know. Sister, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I agree with like a lot of like everything she's saying, basically. Like the crisis in education, I feel, is how different a white student's education compared to a student of color's education is, how significant the differences are between them. Because I feel in a school with a majority students of color, we are not prioritized. And that's basically telling us that our education is not a necessity. And I love to learn, my friends love to learn, my fellow students love to as well. So, but when you're in an environment that tells you like otherwise, it's easy to like succumb to that mentality. And I just feel like that needs to get better. That needs to like get really better, because in many white schools, they don't have to be random searched. We do. Only 4% of schools in the United States are random searched, and it's with majority students of color. That's ridiculous. And our Students Deserve have been working like tirelessly to end random searches. We've done protests, we've went to the board, and we've been speaking to like end this, because we don't want to be random searched every day and have the military on our campus every single day, while we don't get lawyers visiting us even every month, sometimes the whole semester or a year. We don't get doctors, we don't get lawyers, we don't get engineers. And you cannot tell us that you want us to thrive, you cannot tell us that you want us to be more when you're only giving us one option. So what we want Like what we want more option. We don't, I'm not gonna settle for the bare minimum because I'm black. And so I feel like that needs to change.
So education, justice is a priority for ACE and a priority for me. For me, the biggest crisis in education currently is the privatization and defunding of public education. Right now, it's literally the wild, wild west out there. It's our children in our communities who are suffering. I'm involved because I can no longer stay idle when there's a blatant attack on public education. My 3 children have attended the accelerated schools, a group of charter schools here in Los Angeles. I also work at the accelerated school as a health services coordinator, and I am a chief steward of SEIU Local 99. For the most part, my children have been able to get a good education, but there are many things that I have seen and experienced firsthand that make me think that we have a huge problem in terms of the lack of transparency, accountability when it comes to charters. Time and time again, I've seen the rules and the regulations that govern all publicly funded schools disregarded and with few to no consequences. I have a son with special needs. This is very personal for me, as I wasn't able to get the school to provide him the help that he's needed. It's been an absolute nightmare that I can't seem to wake up from. And I am a parent that knows a lot about how the system works. And I ask a lot of questions. I'm very involved. It terrifies me to think about the children whose parents or guardians aren't able to or just don't know how. We need to put a brake on the expansion of charter schools, and we need to get a grip on charter schools that we have already. Charters should be made to meet the same standards as traditional schools. We need a much stronger system of accountability. This cannot continue. Our communities cannot suffer at the hands of billionaires. It cannot continue. Thank you.
So with that, I just want to thank our panelists again. That's why we're doing this. We need our community partners, we need our students, and we need our parents. And we need to be united in this fight for public education and for the schools that our students deserve. So thank you very much. I have another question for our panelists, and what I want to ask is, why do you want to be involved in a fight for our community schools? So what are the elements or the model, of a community school? I touched on a few points, but not all of them, that you're excited to fight for. And I know I was hearing from the students about getting the military off campus, and I understand what that means is getting our school police off campus as well. I know that's something that you all might want to touch on. And I want to say something as far as South and Central, area schools are schools that are the hardest hit. We have the highest majority of students who live in trauma, environments. It's the, most difficult neighborhoods. It's the least amount of resources ever. And, places like Santee High School that had a campaign that opened the school, which did not allow the military to be on campus. So it's very important to have a safe space. Also, Santee High School is one of the only schools I know of that actually has a gender-neutral bathroom so that students are safe to use the restroom when they need to use it, right? So those are the things that we need to talk about and look forward to. is having safe spaces on our campuses that everyone can come into and feel that they have a home and that they will not be targeted and they will not be persecuted. So with that, I want to ask, so what is your intent for fighting for community schools? Thank you.
I'll go first. All right, so when we think about community schools, one way we think about it is, you know, it's like a very simple, elegant idea that's been around for over 100 years. That's one way of looking at it. Another way of looking at it is it's a bright, shiny object, right? It's like another thing, another good idea. So for us, you know, we look at it as, you know, a good idea is actually pretty easy to come by, a good idea. It's a dime a dozen. But to take a good idea and to protect it and to navigate it through a political process and to actually see it come to fruition, that, my friends, is the struggle. For us, community schools is a way to look at the best way to transform our neighborhood schools. And it's looking at best practices like wraparound services or shared leadership or a relevant curriculum. And we've looked at all of the different elements of what can transform a neighborhood school. What we found is when a school has one of those things, it's not enough. It's good, and it's a step in the right direction, but it ain't enough. What you actually need are about 4 or 5 baseline ideas to get a school on a path to transform. So we're in that fight because what we want to do is work with the district and a coalition to make sure a critical mass of schools have those basic elements to begin to transform, and it'll be a long struggle. What we like in particular about the idea or the concept of community schools is to see a school as a hub, as the heart of a community, okay? And it's a way for us to look at a school as a way to transform a school as a problem-solving machine. I've been doing political organizing for about 15, 20 years. And one thing that I've learned over the years with the gray hairs on my chin is that there's no end to the number of issues that our community faces. And you've seen and heard and felt some of those issues today, just in this brief panel. Community schools offers a way to create an environment where our schools are problem-solving machines. And it's in the heart of organizing, where when you have teachers and parents and community folks identify an issue and build networks to solve that issue, it doesn't matter what the issue is. The solution is in that process of folks getting together, figuring out what their issue is, figuring out the politics, developing a plan, and beating back opposition, and to win a solution for that idea. Once people figure that out, and that is a very challenging and frightening thing for the powerful elite to think about people in a community coming together to figure things out. But that is, for us, the heart of why we love the idea of community schools.
One of the elements that I'm actually really excited for is basically to fight for positive discipline, because I feel like there should be better alternatives to handling situations such as getting into a fight or stealing something. I feel like there should be better alternatives to, you know, handle the situation other than, you know, suspending or giving somebody detention. Like, for instance, I was in a basically like kind of disagreement with my friend and this other girl, and I basically stopped the situation from escalating into a fight. And the dean gave me 3 hours of detention because she said I escalated the problem. I made it worse when basically I stopped basically both of them from fighting, which makes no sense to me. Another thing that I am really excited for is basically to have more electives, which I think falls into having a better curriculum. And thank you. And I feel like every student should have, you know, access to any and every elective. You know, we shouldn't have to fight over what type of class we want. And we shouldn't have to basically divide students and make them think that, oh, I'm better than you because I'm in an AP class, or I'm better than you because I'm in magnet. I shouldn't really be pushed away because I shouldn't be denied an AP computer science class because I'm not in magnet. I feel like every student should have access to whatever class they want to have. So, yeah. That's what I'm excited for.
So she covered basically most of it. What I'm excited for is the whole aspect of a community school, especially the community part, because we do need better, we need positive discipline, because our school has a zero tolerance for having a fight or something. That could be resolved. It shouldn't be that the person get expelled and that's on their permanent record, basically ruining their future because of that one disagreement. Siblings fight every time, but you don't expel them out the house. So, I just feel so I feel we need to have a better positive discipline. And also, Reclaim Our Schools L.A. and Students Deserve, we went to the board and we basically got the motion passed. The board passed the motion that the district has to take community schools, they have to take up the ideas of community schools as a solution. So I'm very proud of that, and I'm just excited about the whole thing.
So I am really excited about our coalition to Reclaim Our Schools L.A. Our fight for communities, and for our fight for community schools. I'm a firm believer that all students deserve a quality public education in their own neighborhood, and community schools offers a pathway to that. I was just recently told, after one of our board meetings at our charter school, I was recently told by the CEO that I had a choice. He said, "You have a choice." So I responded back. I said, "You're right. And I've made my choice very clear. My choice is to hold you accountable. My choice is to hold you accountable every step of the way, to provide our community a real public education that serves all students, because it's a right. It is not a privilege." So yes, and I said, if you don't like it, you have a choice as well. You have a choice to open your own private school, because you will have the knowledge where you do not have to answer to the taxpayer. But this taxpayer, this community member, isn't going anywhere. I have made my choice. Community schools offers a model for public schools to provide wraparound services that are based on community needs. A model that draws community strengths to enrich curriculum and programs, and a model that provides transparency and accountability to all stakeholders, not in a certain population of stakeholders, to all stakeholders, and a true engagement and shared decision-making. I am sick and tired of these Wall Street people, these billionaires, talking about what our schools need. We are the ones that know what our children need, right? Absolutely. These billionaires are investing in schools for some, not schools for all. If we really want our communities, we need to invest in making our neighborhood public schools high-quality community schools that meet, again, the needs of all students. Emphasis on all. Our neighborhood schools are a vital asset in our communities, and we need to invest in them, not pull children out of them. while leaving many other children behind. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. I think our panelists have done an excellent job of framing the issue around the need for community schools. And I want to emphasize a few of the points. The relevant responsive education, like multilingual education, ethnic studies, those are key elements for our students, absolutely, as well as the arts. And I know that the students were talking about positive discipline. I believe that what we're talking about here is restorative justice. And restorative justice is rolled out in the district. I know that in South area, one of the first schools that did it was actually Miramonte, who's been in the news a lot. But Miramonte, what they did was they implemented restorative justice after the crisis of suspensions. There was such a high rate of suspensions of students of color, and we're talking about a middle school. What they needed to do was to take that back and implement restorative justice practices. And that's what we do at Hawkins High School. We do restorative justice. And I know several high schools are doing that now. We need this to roll out, district-wide and as many campuses as possible to embrace the process of doing something that doesn't just discipline students when there's misbehavior, but there's a restorative practice that actually helps us heal and learn from the mistakes that we make instead of just kicking students out. Because as Hilda correctly said, our schools have to be a place that embraces everybody. So with that, I want to ask our panelists the next question, and that would be, what is your work or our work? What are the next steps in building our coalition, Reclaim Our Schools Los Angeles? And maybe also, what has been the process that you and your organization have already been involved with? But I would like you to ask or to answer to that and tell us, and tell the people here, how did you get involved with the Reclaim Our Schools Los Angeles, and what do you see the next steps for organization going forward?
So with Reclaim Our Schools L.A., one of the things we did as a coalition, as was mentioned, was to work with some school board members, Steve Zimmer and Ref Rodriguez, to put together a motion to promote and advance this idea of community schools district-wide. So in June, that motion passed by unanimous vote. It was a big victory for our coalition and also with community schools as well. But that was just one step. The motion in and of itself really highlighted the potential for community schools to transform our schools. Some of the punchlines of the motion includes a report back where the district is going to study this idea of community schools, and by December talk about the number of schools that could potentially be looked at to be identified as a community school, and to look at different basically the way to implement community schools in our district. So that is a fight. I mean, it sounds like it's a resolution, it's sort of a bureaucratic thing, but we see that as a fight to make sure this good idea actually gets implemented in a way that helps benefits teachers, parents, and students. And that takes work. So where folks can get involved is to participate in every point where there is a door for public input to make sure our voices are heard. And when there are no doors, then you find a door and you kick it down, right? So we've got to participate and create ways for folks to know what's important, what do we see as important with community schools. And so if there are public hearings, we're going to be there. If there's a letter writing campaign, we're going to write some letters. If there's going to be some delegation visits to board members, they're going to see us in voting, okay? So it's important for us to organize and then also expand our coalition beyond the folks that we've been talking to. There are organizations like neighborhood councils, immigrant rights groups, labor organizations that have students in LAUSD that see the same crisis that we do, and they do want to get involved. Community schools is a way to pull more people into this fight, into the struggle. And so what we want to see over the next 6 months is a greater number of organizations participating and joining us in this fight for community schools.
Well, as a student leader in a student-led organization, I would love to see more students actually like coming on board with this Reclaim Our Schools LA. Because I feel like without students, there wouldn't be this idea of a community school. We need community schools. I feel like this will benefit us in a really good way. And I basically want to say this from me to every teacher in here. I understand that you want to have better health care, higher pay, but you have to take in our consideration as well as yours, and as well as the community as well. Because without us, because students, we just need we need a voice, we need opinion, because we're always told, oh, we can't say this, hold on. Okay. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm just nervous. Because as students, we're always told we can't say this, we can't say that. And I feel like if anybody in this, building, if you don't have a Student Deserve chapter at your school, just come to me and we will make one, together. Just opening up your class, letting students have a voice their opinions and letting them organize, that could help in an amazing way. So yes.
Yeah, we need to get more people on board for us. We can't have 100 people saying that they are with the cause and only 10 people fighting for it. So we need more people. We need more people joining us. We also need to push forward community schools to be our solution. We've been talking about it. We've got the motion passed. So let's give it a go. Let's start it. So yeah.
So as I said earlier, we're really excited. We're wanting to grow more partnerships between, as the student says, with more students, parents, and educators like yourselves, and school staff between UTLA, ACE, Students Deserve, and LAANE, and hopefully other more organizations. My organization, ACE, is going to be at school sites throughout Los Angeles in the coming months, engaging in more with parents in this fight. We need an army, as the student said, and we're going to build an army. We are going to stand side by side with you all teachers here to make sure that you have fair wages and benefits so that you can support us in our mission as well. This is just not our fight as parents. We need to get together and truly fight and be united. We are going to stand side by side, knock on doors in LA's wealthiest communities, demanding that they step up and invest in all children, not just some. And again, let me tell you one thing. United, we will not be defeated. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to be here today. And let's keep in mind that these charter schools, these millionaires came into our neighborhoods with a promise of educating all kids. They have lied, and we need to hold them accountable every step of the way. So now it's time for us to go into their neighborhoods and hold them accountable. Thank you all.
Open the door. I'm trying to get
Unidos venceremos. Thank you. I want to thank all the panelists. It was beautiful, and I hope that the message comes across to all of our educators here in the room, and we take this back to our campuses to fight for the schools that Los Angeles students deserve, and we get our students involved at whatever level, and we get more organizations like mine, Unión del Barrio, and many other organizations out there fighting for justice on a daily basis involved to reclaim our schools for Los Angeles. Thank you very much.